So today I'm outside tapping some of my walnut and maple trees to use the sap to make syrup in a few weeks. So many of my viewers may not know that I am actually a homesteader. I am a self-survivalist. I am a self-sufficiency type of person, and I do as much as I can for myself utilizing the land. Tapping trees and making syrup is just another way that my family and I like to utilize the land and the gifts that we have on our property. Now, a lot of people don't know there's many different trees that can be utilized and tapped for these reasons. Trees such as birch, sycamore, many different varieties of maple, walnut, all are trees that can be tapped. Now, the process is always the same. We tap the trees the same way. The only difference is how many gallons or how much of the sap that needs to be collected. Because every tree has a different sugar content, and sugar maple being the highest, which makes it the reason it's a popular choice, it really depends on the sugar content and how many gallons you will need to cook it down. When we are making our walnut syrup, it usually takes about 50 gallons to get 1 gallon of syrup. As where if you're using sugar maple, you're usually working with about 40 gallons to get 1 gallon of syrup. Today's video is going to be to show you guys how simple it is to tap a tree. I do have hopes to do a video here in the near future of how to tap a tree, using primitive tools. But at the moment we are sticking with an old school method. It's just not quite as primitive. The tools that we use for this are very, very basic. And as I said a few minutes ago, the process is the same no matter what tree it is that you're tapping. So today I'm going to get you started on showing you how simple it is to tap. And then I will explain what it is that we do with our sap once we've collected it. I start off by drilling a hole in the tree. I'm sticking with about 1.5 to 2 inches or the size of my tap, making sure not to go too deep within the tree. When you're drilling the tree, you want to make sure to stay at an upward angle. You also want to move the drill in and out a bit so that it creates a clear path for your tap. As soon as you drill, sap should immediately start coming out, and I always like to check, making sure that the tree is healthy and leaking sap as it should. My tap then really just needs to be tapped in a little bit with a hammer to fit inside the hole I've created with my drill. Although the FDA recommends against it, I can't help but taste the fresh tree water. Now I'm going to place my buckets and then place a lid, which is going to help to keep any contaminants, sticks, leaves, so forth out of my sap. Although it's going to be strained again before we turn this into syrup, it's still a good idea to avoid contaminants. I am located in Maryland, Zone 6. Our best sap flow is between February and March, when nights reach below freezing and days reach above freezing. You really get a decent amount of sap in this temperature range. We have tapped this year 14 trees, which will give us about 50 gallons of sap before the sap flow is over. Every day in the evening, the sap is collected and placed into 5-gallon buckets. We then either place in a freezer or bury in snow for the next few weeks until the sap flow is over. Then it will be time to cook and make our syrup. There are so many amazing things that you can do with tree syrup. Walnut syrup, for instance, you can make a sort of peanut brittle out of it. You can make candies out of it. You can make a molasses out of this, thick for using in baking, and of course a traditional syrup. So there's many things that you can do with this sap aside from just your typical syrup. As with always, people have been getting creative with things for a very long time. A small bit of history on maple syrup. So many people don't know that it was actually the North American indigenous people that first created maple syrup. Native Americans in Canada have long been collecting this sap and utilizing it for many things. So this is actually where syrup came from. When the settlers came, the Native Americans showed them how it is they were producing it, and that is what we know today as syrup. So although many think we can thank, I suppose, the Canadians, it was the Canadians, it was just the indigenous Canadians. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Obviously, as you see, the process to tapping trees is very, very simple. The most complicated part of this whole process is actually when you go to make the syrup. And I do have full intentions of doing a video on that. So until next time, guys, stay wild.